What is going on, everybody, and welcome to PES 2016, a full game from the demo that got released the other day. Today I originally intended to actually upload the next episode of Button Bounces Back, but when I saw this had been released, I thought, you know what, I've played PES 2015 a fair amount, even though I've not really uploaded any at all to my channel, so I thought, play the demo. I've got a bit of a ground knowledge on PES, because like I say, I play it a fair bit anyway. Compare it to the previous one, see how it plays and see how it feels compared to what FIFA 16 seems like it's going to be like. And this, lads, is about the third time that I have tried to record this. The first time around my microphone failed, I've had to uninstall that and reinstall it again on the computer, and then the second time the webcam failed. So this is third time lucky. That is commitment if I've ever saw it, because I've just got back in from work, so forgive me if I also look a bit shattered. It would be fantastic if you would throw a thumbs up on this video. Let me know what you think of PES down in the comments down below, whether you play the demo, whether you're going to play the demo, whether you think you're going to pick up the game or not. And also subscribe to the channel if you are new around here. We're still just a couple of subs away from 250 subscribers. It would be awesome if you could make that happen. But yeah, the game that you're going to be seeing in the background is one, it's an exhibition match, obviously, and it's going to be Brazil, who I am in control of, against France. And you can see some of the sort of introduction stuff at the moment, the intro scenes that nobody ever really watches when you've actually played the game for more than a day. But straight away you can see the graphics, graphically, sorry. It is, it's not up there with FIFA, but I still don't think it looks bad by any stretch of the imagination. All this is pretty cheesy, to be honest, all this national anthem singing. It doesn't look quite right, in my opinion, but it's still a big step up graphically from PES 2015, in my opinion. I mean, looking back on 2015, it was released at a time when it was the overlap into the next-gen consoles, and perhaps they weren't fully focused on making the game as like, highly as well. I can't think of the right word here. I'm completely butchering this, but what I'm trying to say is the game was built for the old gen consoles, with the new gen not quite being fully out yet, whereas this one is the first one that they're going to have built where the next gen consoles, as they are now, not really next gen now, the current gen, but the best consoles out there are now well in their flow. So I hope that makes sense to you. I know what I mean. Hopefully I've got that across, but basically it's been built for the Xbox One and PS4 rather than the Xbox 360 and PS3 is the easiest way to explain it, so that'll be nice. And you can see that from the off now. Doesn't look as good as FIFA in my opinion, as always seems to be the case with PES, but it still is a big step up from PES 2015. I can't believe how difficult I made that sound to get that across. That was ridiculous. But PES, compared to FIFA, it's always difficult to compare because it's a lot more realistic in my opinion. FIFA always seems a lot more arcadey when you compare it to PES. PES is like playing a real-life football game, and you'll see examples of that in the match that you see now. I mean, you'll see periods of the game where nothing really seems to happen, and that is very much like real-life football. If you're someone that only ever watches Match of the Day, or you don't tend to watch full football matches, or you've never been to a football match, there are periods of play where nothing happens. Teams knock the ball around, they play sort of crab football, as I call it, where you play the ball from side to side, don't really go anywhere. And that is just like this. Sometimes the computer will keep the ball, you'll keep the ball, nothing else seems to be happening. And that can make the game feel a bit stale, but for people that love real life football and love the realism of the game, the simulation of the game, that is what it's like. Sometimes you just have to keep the ball. And by the way, that animation back there to slide tackle and keep the ball in without knocking it out, I love that. That is an animation that I really like, because sometimes on FIFA and on PES, as happens in real life to be fair, you'll do a slide tackle near the edge of the field, and the ball always seems to go out. It's so rare that you seem to be able to keep it in, but there he's sort of really hooked his foot around it, and that's really nice to see that animation. It's a big step up from PES 2015 in a couple of fronts, in my opinion. The ball movement seems a lot nicer. It seems to, the pitch is like a carpet, and it really seems to run across it nice and smoothly. I feel like I'm not getting my points across very well here. I'm completely butchering everything, but the basic premise of everything I'm saying is that PES feels like a real-life game of football. If you want to, you can get the ball, you can control the game, you can keep the ball, and unlike on FIFA, where I think if you try and keep the ball for long periods of time, you do seem to inevitably at some point give away possession, or there'll be a stupid pass where you sort of do a P-roll, or it'll go out to play ridiculously. That doesn't seem to happen on here, and when it does, it's completely your own fault, which is refreshing to see. But the game that you can see unfolding in the background, it is pretty short halves, obviously it's only a demo. There are a couple of goals, so we will see a bit of that, and there's a really funky celebration for the first one as well. But yeah, I mean, it's difficult to compare to FIFA because there's obviously a lack of licensing on PES. There's a few things that are official, like there's a lot of international teams. I believe the BPL is now official these days on it. If I remember correctly, I think Ligue 1, the Liga BBVA and Serie A is also official. I think there's one or two major leagues that aren't, but there's a few that are as well. I always get mixed up which ones aren't and aren't. But also PES, of course, does have the Champions League and the Europa League, which FIFA doesn't have. So if you do love the Champions League, it's always fantastic for that. But yeah, it's a very different game. You can see I just hoof it out to play there. I tried to do a switch, completely fucked that up. But one thing that PES has got above FIFA, in my opinion, and has done for the last couple of years, in gameplay standards, is the fact that pace isn't everything. Yes, if you get a quick play, you can roast a player or two, but you can see here, great example, as I mentioned it actually, Willian, a very quick player, just shoved out of it. The defence is just, the positioning of the defence and their ability to read the game feels fantastic. And you'll notice as well, I mean, look at that for a more defender there, just runs in on it, cuts it out fantastically well. Really, really nice to see that, and that's something that I do think FIFA could learn from. Lovely over the top ball here, by the way. Now picks it up with a beautiful first touch shot, just flicks it back over his head. Nice to see a bit of style and technique from the main man from Brazil. But we do win the ball back, and this is where the first goal comes. Marcelo puts in a ball, it's nodded out, and Fernandinho just releases the Kraken. And that is just such a realistic goal, in my opinion. That happens so often where, well, it's not a common thing, but where a player like nods it out and then it's just smashed in on the edge by like Steven Gerrard, Frank Lampard, that kind of goal. And look at that for a celebration. Fernandinho freaking loving the banter, holding that golf ball up to the camera after he did that little put into the corner flag. But yeah, that is the kind of goal that I do feel is realistic. And the one thing about PES as well, on FIFA, when you're online, you can get games sometimes where it's 5-5, 4-3, 6-4, 7-2, like ridiculous score lines. In my opinion, you don't seem to find that as often on PES. You still get it every now and then, but on PES, when you score a goal, you really feel like you've earned it, and that is a freaking crisp strike by Fernandinho, if I may say so myself. Lovely hit into the corner. The keeper didn't stand a chance with the power on that one. But like I say, it's hard to judge against FIFA because it feels like much more of a simulation. FIFA feels far, far more arcadey, particularly Ultimate Team, which feels super arcadey compared to PES. But like I said before, let me know in the comments if you play PES already, your thoughts on it, if you will be picking it up, and it'd be interesting to see who out there, if anyone prefers PES to FIFA, because there was a patch on this year's game where Ultimate Team was a bit screwed up and people sort of turned to PES. So it wasn't for very long, it was a very short fling, but for a couple of weeks PES was the thing that everybody was uploading, and it's never something that I've personally uploaded because I enjoy FIFA much, much more purely for Ultimate Team, because I don't think my club is anywhere near as good. We're actually going to go into the subs now so you can see the menus, that kind of stuff for when you're making changes. Very, very similar to the PES 2015 menus, a little bit cleaner, but on the whole still very, very similar. The menus, what I do like about PES, which you can do on FIFA as well, but on FIFA it's a bit more difficult to do. When you're on that formation screen, you can move your players anywhere that you want. If you wanted to, you could play a 0-0-10 with just your goalkeeper and 10 struggles if you want to do, and it's really easy to do, whereas I feel on FIFA you have to go through a lot more sort of rigmarole to get that done, and it's a lot more difficult to set up your own formation. But like I say, the main thing in my opinion on PES is got over FIFA is the defending. I wish on FIFA the defenders would read the game as well as they do on here, because they step in fantastically well. The goalkeepers aren't as moronic on here as they have been on FIFA for the past year, which is good, but it's still lacking that sort of official nature that FIFA's got. The commentary on the last year's PES was okay, but it's still not up there with FIFA in my opinion, and that's another thing. That's something that you've got to bear in mind. You're listening to that throughout the whole year of the game. There seems to be a lot of repetition, which you do get it on FIFA, but it's just a lot worse on PES. But yeah, I mean, it's one of those games, I tend to pick it up usually after a few months it's been released and it's come down a little bit, so I'll pay full price for FIFA and then I'll get PES for sort of £20-25, play it for a little bit, and then I tend to get bored and go back to FIFA. But to be fair, this year that hasn't happened. I've mainly stuck to FIFA even through all of its issues. I've played PES mainly when I'm playing against other people, and that's another thing. I think PES really comes to its own, not when you're playing on your own on Ultimate Team or whatever against other people online. I do think when you are physically sitting next to another person playing a game of PES, it is head and shoulders above FIFA. I don't know what it is. It's something like, say, about you really feel like you earned a goal when you scored it. You really feel like you've achieved something, and you sort of celebrate that fact, obviously, when you score a goal, and that just feels fantastic when you're playing sitting next to someone, and you seem to get that instant gratification, if you know what I mean. But yeah, it's hard to explain what I mean, but I hope you can sort of see what I'm trying to point out here. But you can see the game in the background, like I said before, really representing a real-life game. We absolutely dominate France in this one, to be honest. I'm not entirely sure what difficulty the computer was on, but we did seem to dominate the game. I'm not really sure if they even had a shot, to be honest. But that's the one thing, like I say, with PES, I managed to play a possession kind of style of football here. I wasn't going gung-ho. Another thing you can see here, the players' movement going forward is also fantastic. That's something that FIFA has done a lot better on this year, in my opinion. but it seems to float really nicely in my opinion. The ball seems to move well, the player seems to move into space really nicely, but still, it's hard to really compare FIFA obviously because we haven't had the demo for FIFA 16 just yet, but again, look at this. This is Benzema running through. We managed to just about get a fantastic tackle in there, knock the ball away. We're going to make another change again here because I want to see what the animations are like, the cutscenes when you're bringing players on and off, all that kind of good stuff. But yeah, on the whole, I did enjoy the demo. Probably going to pick it up again later on when it's come down a little bit, but at this point, to be honest, I'm struggling to thinking of things to say about the game because I've pretty much said everything that I want to say about the game. I think I summed it up quite nicely in comparing it to a real-life game of football, which it always feels like. And there's an alarm going off outside, so forgive me, you can hear that. I don't know what it is. I think it's someone's car alarm, but anyway, going off subject. Yeah, it feels like very much like a real-life game of football. It feels rewarding when you score goals. The defence is a lot smarter than it is on FIFA. But when it's not as good looking as FIFA, which, you know, graphics shouldn't be everything, but they so are sometimes, because you've got to love having that sort of officialness of FIFA. You've got the Premier League bits and bobs, and that is the main thing really, the officialness of FIFA, the arcadiness of FIFA when you're able to play nice quick football, which sometimes you can do it on PES, but it's a lot more difficult. I mean, I don't know, there's just something about FIFA that just feels a lot nicer to play than PES in my opinion. But we're actually coming towards the end of the game now, 85th minute. There's about to be one more goal in the 90th. You see I tried a nice little rainbow flip with Neymar there. The ball runs away from me a little bit. Tried a nice little chop inside as well, but we do get shoved off the ball eventually. There will be one more goal, like I say, it comes in the 90th minute, pretty much the last kick of the game, and it's an example of the good defensive movement, to be honest, because you'll see we're just about to pick it up in the middle of the park. We win it nicely with Thiago Silva, who's defending from the front. Just about gets the ball there. Neymar's gets tackled, and we're about to pick it up with Oscar in the middle of the park and play a nice through ball into Neymar. I'm sort of filling the gaps here because I don't know when it's coming, so forgive me. Here we go. Oscar picks it up. Neymar makes the run inside, and look at this. The defender matches the run. He gets quite unlucky because it's only the fact that Neymar is a world-class player that manages to get between the two defenders, ghost in, and then actually gets a little bit lucky, as you will see from the replay. You can't really do your own celebrations either on PES, which shouldn't be a main thing, but I'm so used to being able to do the whole shush and ear cup and all that banter and stuff on FIFA. You miss it when you come on PES. You can see there'll be another replay in a second where it shows Neymar's movement a little bit better, but he gets a little bit lucky there and just slides into the bottom corner. You don't expect him to be doing anything other than that. Such a world-class player, really. But you can see here, look, the ball comes in. Neymar, his second favourite here because there's two defenders, but because he's a great player, uses that speed and agility to get in between. You can see he gets really lucky. Almost like a FIFA goal, really, the way it sort of bends back to him and he side foots into the corner. But yeah, that is pretty much bringing us to the end of the game. Like I said before, if you did enjoy the video, be sure to smash a thumbs up on this. Let me know your thoughts on PES, and if you're going to be picking it up this year, subscribe if you're new around here. Like I say, I apologise if I sound a bit tired, if I look a bit tired, but I've had work all night because we've had a special event on at the shop today. And also, this is the third time that I've had to record it. So hopefully, I'll be seeing a little bit more lively in the Button Bounces back video, which will be coming out tomorrow. That has, of course, been pushed back because of this video coming out today. I will speak to you all in that one. Hope you enjoyed this, like I said before. Enjoy the rest of your day. Speak to you in tomorrow's video. Nidge out. They said as well you can get legends, you can get the top players in this kind of thing, as you will see in a minute, because they do actually get Ronaldo in this one, which is pretty crazy. But again, player ratings on the screen, whether you want to read into the two